Okay, guys, so I just saw Toy Story 4. So, let's talk about that.
Forky is the most important toy to Bonnie right now. We all have to make sure nothing happens to him.
Woody, we have a situation.
I am not a toy. I was made for soup, salad, maybe chili, and then the trash.
So, welcome back. Or welcome for the first time. If this is your first time, I am that guy in the motorcycle that reviews movies. Now, I tend to watch at least one, maybe two movies a week, and I do exactly what the title says. I review movies on a motorcycle. I try not to get into spoilers, and this is just basically just me telling you guys how I felt about the movie. I'm not criticizing the movie, just general feelings and thoughts leaving the theater on whatever movie I just watched. Now, this week, as the title says, I am reviewing Toy Story 4. This is the fourth Toy Story movie. Toy Story 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time. It is in my top 3. The first Toy Story. Actually, the second and third Toy Story, I really love as well. And I would say the Toy Story franchise, 1 through 3, is probably one of my favorite movies of all time, or some of my favorite movies of all time. So, that was just a little bit of insight. That was weird. In going into this movie. Now, Toy Story 4. Before I say anything else about this movie, I just want to let you guys know that this is probably one of the best looking animated movies of all time that I have ever seen. I remember when I first saw How to Train Your Dragon, I was just like, oh man, I don't think I've ever seen anything this good. Now, this movie, based off of looks alone, it is probably one of the best looking animated movies. It is so photorealistic. There's certain scenes in there in the movie where I'm just like, is this live action or is this animation? Just in the first opening 5-10 minutes of the movie, there's like the rain effects and the water effects. The water's very hard to do digitally. And it's just like, oh my goodness, you guys make this look so real. So off back alone, hands down, this movie gets like a 10 out of 10 just based off of looks alone, because this movie looks amazing. It is perfect. Now, besides the look of the movie, how did I feel about this movie? It kind of breaks my heart. I kind of want to keep this review short because this took me 2 days. I saw this movie on Thursday. Today is Sunday. It took me a few days to actually think about this movie because I was thinking about it and I felt something inside of me saying, hey, it gave me some feelings that I was just like, I was not expecting. I thought I was going to go into this movie like, you know what? I'm going to have an open mind. Let's go in here. Let's see how they're going to wrap this thing up again. But to me, I didn't feel like that. Leaving this movie, I was just like, oh, okay. Basically how I felt leaving this movie was, it was not needed. This movie was not needed. I felt like, you know what this is like? This movie, this franchise, it's like a relationship. Now, you're dating someone in college, you're dating somebody in high school, you guys love each other, and throughout the years, you guys find out, throughout the months, however long it takes you guys to find out that maybe you guys were not right for each other. You guys sat down, you guys had a nice little talk, and you guys said, you know what, this is not working out, I want to have kids, I don't want to be married, I want to move. Whatever reason you guys decided to split, you guys sat down as adults and said, you know what, let's move on. This is what this movie is like. Now imagine that, years later, you get married to somebody else, you settle down, you have kids, 5 years later, then you get a call back from your ex saying, hey, let's talk about the relationship again. You're like, whoa, why are we talking about this relationship again? We already talked about it. We sat down, we had our talk, we had our differences, what we had was fun, now it's over now I've moved on. This is what this movie feels like to me. It feels like it is just bringing up emotions and feelings that I've had that I kind of gotten over, and you just brought this to me again, and you bring it back those same emotions and feelings, and you're expecting me to feel some type of way after I've already moved on. To me, I felt like this movie was not necessary. They added characters that was not really needed. I guess you could tell any story that you want to, really, and it's a funny story because I remember years ago I saw this interview with one of the heads of Pixar, and they said, hey, why doesn't Pixar make sequels? And they said, hey, because we at Pixar feel like we can tell stories without making sequels. And of course, you all know Toy Story 2 came out, Cars 2, 3, Dory, and Monsters Inc. All unnecessary sequels to me, except Toy Story, the second and third one. Those are actually perfect. And that's how I felt. I felt like every other Pixar movie sequel was unnecessary. Toy Story 3 was perfect. It closed the chapter. Andy gave this toy to Molly. That was the end of that chapter. That was the end of Andy. That was the end of the adventures that they had in Andy's room. And that was it. It closed it perfectly. And it's just like, with this movie, they just reopened the wounds again. And just like, hey, we're going to tell you another adventure. To me, this felt like a nice Pixar short. Like, if they would have made this into a nice 5-minute Pixar short, this whole movie, it would have been perfect. But to draw this out into a full-length movie, to me, I thought that was unnecessary. Now, with me saying that, not to say this movie was bad. This movie is not a bad movie. I think I'm taking it more to heart because these movies are some of my favorite movies. These movies are some of my favorites, and I really love Toy Story. So looking at it, I thought, hey, maybe you guys might do a little something to give me a fourth Toy Story movie. But it felt like, you know what? It wasn't needed. This movie, again, just based on my opinions, because this is what this channel is about, just my opinions, my little 2 cents, I feel like it was not needed. It was not called for. You didn't bring anything new to me. Yeah, you try to introduce what does it mean to be a toy, and granted, this movie did make me feel like growing up, because I grew up with Andy. We were roughly around the same age, a little bit older than Andy, I believe, in the Toy Story world. And when the first movie came out, I felt like, you know what? I'm going to treat my toys better. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to start playing with my toys even more. That's the way Toy Story made me feel as a kid growing up. Like, oh man, like, what if my toys can't talk? And what if I'm mistreating these toys? What if I'm not, taking care of them the way that they want to be treated, want to be taken care of? And now watching this movie as an adult, I can look at it through my son's eyes, and I look at how he plays his toys, and sometimes he leaves his toys on the floor, and I'm just like, I get these toys out of here, and I kick them, and I toss them, or whatever I want to do. But then, watching this movie, I would say, brought back that feeling where it's just like, oh man, I remember how it felt like to, play with toys, and to just leave them in, and whatever. So I would say for this movie, it brought back that same feeling as me being a kid again, playing with my toys, and like me watching my son play with his toys, because he loves his toys. So again, this movie is not a bad movie. It's a good movie. It's just, but to me, I just felt like it was not needed. And if you were going to do a movie like this, if you were to do a fourth Toy Story movie, I felt like this story was not, you could have picked another story to do. But that's just my opinion, guys. If I was to rate this, like I do in my other videos, it's sad to say, but I would give it a 3 out of 6. I know that's pretty low for this movie because again, it's not a bad movie. It looks really good, but to me, it does not do anything for these characters. These characters that I grew up with, that I'm taking personal, like I'm taking this movie very personally because I love these characters. I love these movies. Toy Story 1 is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I felt like they did nothing for these characters. Like Buzz was kind of left out. He was kind of secondhand in this movie. Didn't really see much of just basically much of the original crew didn't really do much in this movie. But to me taking it a little bit personally, I will give this movie a 3 out of 6. And let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm pretty sure I am wrong, but that's just how I felt. Who is this movie for? This movie, you know what? This movie is for, I don't know, maybe it's for the kids. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for somebody who grew up with Toy Story, who really loved this franchise. Maybe it's for the new generation, the younger generation. I showed Toy Story 1 through 3 to my kids, and they really love it. They haven't seen Toy Story 4 yet, but I'm going to take them to go watch it, and I'm going to see what they think. So maybe take your kids to go watch it. If you're a kid, you go watch it. Maybe you're going to love it. But, as always, that was my review on Toy Story 4. Before I leave, just to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Chic Riot. Who is Chic Riot? Chic Riot is an all-female motorcycle jacket brand. Check out Chic Riot at www.chicriot.com. Until next time, guys, love your neighbors, be kind to one another. Peace out.